Hi there, Zamir for NerdTube. These are my thoughts with some minor spoilers for the full Monty TV series currently on Disney Plus. Now, if you can remember back to 1997, because I can, the full Monty was part of this lineage of British comedy films, starting off with Four Weddings and a Funeral. And the full Monty itself was basically about a bunch of steel workers in the steel city of Sheffield who are unemployed and they are just trying to make a bit of money. And Gaz, played by Robert Carlyle, who's fantastic in this, by the way, uh, he decides that maybe they should just be strippers because strippers make a shitload of money. And the term full Monty basically means that they go all the way, they take it all off. They leave their hats on, but they totally expose themselves. And it's a fantastic feel good movie. But at the time when this movie was made, I think like the sort of like depression era of where we're going as a society was not really noticed too much. It was kind of veiled, so to speak, by just good performances and some comical moments. But in this series, the depression era, the way our society has been let down by our governments is really on full display. It's not in your face full display, but it's done in a very clever way because we can all appreciate that how fucked up this country is and how our governments are letting us down and how we're constantly having cuts in various ways. From our elderly characters like Horse, played by Paul Barber, who we also know from Only Fools and Horses. Um, Life is passing him by in a way that he just can't comprehend it anymore. He's an analog man in a digital world, and he needs disability benefits because he's on a walking stick. He has an electric scooter to get him about. A mobility scooter. He's not able to work anymore, but he has worked his life. He's worked really hard throughout his life. He's broken his body, to a degree that he can't work anymore. Now he's an old man. But society, so not society, but the powers that be, government employees, just want to not believe that he can't work anymore. They want to put him back into employment as soon as possible, even though he can't work anymore. And then he starts losing his benefits. He's not eating because he can't afford food. It's sad. It's really sad when you see this. And even though his friends are loyal to him and they all would help him if they can, they all have their own issues to deal with, and it's really difficult for them to focus on Horse. And it was breaking my heart, his scenes. It really was. And then we see the other end of the spectrum, Destiny Schofield, who plays the daughter of Gaz, and Gaz obviously played by Robert Carlyle, and she is a girl who's straying with her life. She's she's a mischievous young girl who's bunking off school, but she has got an opportunity to find a direction, but that direction's been taken away from her because of cuts being made in the society that she lives in. Music is her direction. She's a good singer. She's a talented musician, and she can find a way in her life through music. But because the school that she's in is falling apart, and they can't get any insurance money to basically repair the school that is falling apart because it's got floods and leaks and rooms are being destroyed by water damage. The school budget has to be used to repair the school, and that means then certain things within the curriculum has to be taken off the table, like music lessons, and it's really sad, when you see all of that because here's a girl who's got an opportunity to improve her life, but that opportunity has been taken away from her, so she's very likely to be, a stain on society, and that's the only way I can really say it in a way which doesn't sound too bad. And in between all of this, we see how other people are affected too, like certain services, like maybe just taking a bus so you can see particular council officials. Well, those buses are not there because once again, government are cutting things constantly, and as I said earlier, this is not necessarily in your face, but you just notice it here and there when these people are just trying to get on with their lives, and they live up north where you know not enough money is contributed to them, in their towns. I live in London. Everything is for Londoners, and the rest of the country doesn't get much. and that's unfortunately how it is. And all these people who live in these areas, like Sheffield, they're not getting what they need, and government is there to take care of us. It genuinely is. People might not like to hear that, but we vote these motherfuckers in. That at times when we need them, when we genuinely need them, you know, they need to give us back to society. People like Horse, when his body's broken, he can't work anymore. He needs his disability benefits. He doesn't get it. People like Destiny, a young girl who has an opportunity to improve her life, but she needs to be able to learn music, but those opportunities are taken away from her. Other people as well who just need to catch a fucking bus, they can't get it because the bus has been taken off the budget, so to speak, because of fucking cuts, and more fucking cuts. And it's we, the people, who suffer for it. And that's really what this Full Monty TV series is about. But there's more than that as well. Obviously, there's all these subplots of various things, from affairs to, loan sharks to pigeons. Yeah, you name it. It's all there. And it's interesting. Some of the sort of like storylines, they kind of peter out a little bit. Like Mark Addy's character, he kind of befriends this young lad whose mum is kind of very ill, hasn't got a father figure in his life, and he becomes like a father figure to this young lad. But it peters out. Like, it doesn't really go anywhere after a little while. And the loan sharks thing I mentioned earlier, that kind of peters out too a little bit. That storyline, it's unusual. And then we do focus also on other characters who initially we just thought were supporting cast members, but they get an episode or two of really shining and finding out more about them and their arcs as well. The character of Darren, played by Miles Jupp, he comes across as a little bit heartless. Not necessarily a bad person, but somebody who's got no empathy for others to a degree. And then he gains empathy and he starts to understand things a lot better. And his character arc, especially when he falls in love with a refugee, there's that spoiler right there. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. He's the one who's kicking refugees out, and then he falls in love with one. It's fantastic. It's great stuff, and there's just lovely moments in this, and there's also moments of a lot of self-reflection, as you know, that how fucked up our society is and how things need to improve. It's especially somebody who lives in this country. I get it. Now, fortunately for us, these old timers are not going to be getting their fucking kit off again. Thank God for that. It's not about that. It's just about seeing where their lives are going from this point onwards. And there are some lovely moments. There are some certain things that get tied up quite conveniently. I think not everything needs to be rectified to a degree. I think maybe some people might have lost in certain aspects and not really necessarily achieve what they were supposed to achieve. And I guess maybe one particular character that does happen, I guess. But overall, I think most people's lives are kind of satisfied and resolved in a healthy way, which I'm not necessarily on board with, but it's that feel-good factor with that what films and TV shows like this are kind of supposed to bring to us anyway. I like this. I think if you're a Brit, you'll like this. If you've seen the movie, you'll definitely like this. Great performances. Robert Carlyle is definitely fucking Del Boy from Only Fools and Horses. And it's ironic that Paul Barber from Only Fools and Horses is in this as well. And I guess maybe Mark Addy is the Rodney, for sure. Anyway, I'm going to give this show a 7 out of 10. I would love to give it a higher mark. I really, really want to give it a higher fucking mark. And something is stopping me from doing so. It could be worthy of an 8 out of 10. Maybe it is, maybe in the parallel universe I've given it an 8 out of 10 and not a 7. I want to give it an 8 out of 10, but I just can't for some reason. But don't get me wrong, I think you should see this. Definitely. Anyway, that's what I think of it. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe to NerdTube. We are on TikTok and YouTube. We are the greatest YouTube and TikTok channel that you never heard of. Take care, bye-bye, and leave a comment below and let me know what you think of the Full Monty TV series. Bye-bye.